Good morning. I'd like to start by thanking Principal Imran Syed, the entire staff at Viola Desmond Public School, the DDSB team, including Trustee Donna Edwards, for hosting us here to make a very important announcement that will benefit Ontario's youth. This school is, of course, named after a civil rights champion who continues to inspire Canadians from all walks of life. This summer, it is home to the Great Beginnings Student Success Program for Black students. This program is one of the suites of programs offered by the DDSB for early learners. The program is designed to enhance the social, emotional, physical, cognitive, language, math, and literacy skills for its participating students. It's a great initiative and it deserves some recognition. I'd like to thank SKD Bilingual and the early years team for implementing these summer programs here in Ajax and across Durham region. Thank you for the amazing job you continue to do. As you know, Premier Ford recently asked myself and my friend MPP Matthew Ray and myself to serve as parliamentary assistants to the Minister of Education, Stephen Lecce. We're both incredibly honored to serve. Education is important to both of us because it has the power to transform lives, communities, and to mold our youngest learners into empathetic, responsible, informed members of society. As a proud mom and former trustee of the DDSB School Board, I am strongly committed to improving public education and to championing worldwide initiatives such as the Great Beginnings Student Success Program for Black students. Such a long name. Unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted student learning in every corner of our province, and many young people now feel they're not properly prepared for their next step in life. Thanks to Ontario's plan to catch up, help is on its way for parents and students. Minister Stephen Lecce will continue to outline our plan in greater detail in a few minutes from now. In the meantime, I want to warmly welcome both of my colleagues to Ajax, an amazing community to live, work, and raise a family. With that, I give you my friend and fellow parliamentary assistant, Matthew Ray.
Patrice, thank you for that kind introduction. And thank you to the staff and students at the Viola Desmond Public School for hosting us this afternoon. It's indeed an honor to serve Ontario families and children as parliamentary assistant to Minister Lecce. I fully support our government's actions to provide our education system with the tools it needs to prepare Ontario's young people for the jobs of tomorrow, while ensuring it's accountable to students and parents. The last 2 years have been a tough time for Ontario families, and the pandemic disruptions have created some learning gaps that need to be addressed. I'm proud to say that our government is meeting this challenge by directing resources to programs through Ontario's plan to catch up. By investing in province-wide tutoring, student mental health, and modern classrooms and in-person learning, I am confident these learning gaps will be overcome. Together, we will help our students catch up. And now, to tell us more about the plan to catch up, here's my friend and colleague, the Honourable Stephen Lecce, Ontario's Minister of Education.
Appreciate that. All righty. Well, good morning, everyone. It is wonderful to be here at Viola Desmond. Indeed, an inspiring Canadian and someone that we can all celebrate. Great to be back here. I actually visited this beautiful, wonderful, modern school with Patrice Barnes before she was elected and before she was parliamentary assistant in her capacity as school board trustee, as an incredible advocate and champion for the people of Ajax. So it's an honor to serve with you, Patrice, with you, Matt, as we bring an important voice to improve public education in Ontario. And I want to thank all the staff, the educators, and these very cute kids that joined us earlier today for reminding us what education is about. It's about creating opportunities and lifting up young people in Ontario. So really awesome to see the Great Beginnings Student Success Program for Black students in action. We're in the first week. One of the educators was saying, it is seldom where kids are literally crying because they got to go home at 12 o'clock. They want to be here. They want to be in our schools. They want to be learning with their friends in normal experiences. That's exactly what we envision for the year ahead. And as noted, the last few years have been so difficult on families, on kids, on staff, on all of us. And I think, our students have really demonstrated an incredible sense of strength and resilience to learn and to overcome those challenges. It has never been more important that students catch up on their learning with more support for physical and mental health. We know that's what students and parents and educators want, and our government is committed to delivering it for the students of this province. And so as we look forward, our government is striving to ensure that students receive the best, most fulfilling, normal learning experience in this province. And it's why today I'm proud to be with Matt and Patrice to announce Ontario's plan to catch up, to make sure students have the supports, the tools, and the investments to enable them to develop the skills to succeed, both in and out of the classroom. Ontario's education's plan to help students catch up is focused on 5 key pillars, and it is anchored by the first, which is keeping students in class, keeping them returning to class on time with a full student experience. The second is providing students with the learning supports they need to catch up, including through an enhancement of tutoring. The third is preparing students for the life and job skills they will need in order to graduate and get a good paying job at the end of their academic journey. The fourth deals with investing in good schools, modern infrastructure that meets needs of young people, and supporting student well-being. Our first priority is to make sure students are back in class on time with the full learning experience. And that includes extracurricular activities like band, sports, field trips, and grad ceremonies. We have the tools in place to support a safe and enriching learning experience for the coming school year. For example, since August of 2020, we have allocated more than $665 million to improve ventilation and filtration in schools right across Ontario. 100,000 HEPA filters are in place within our schools to reduce risk. And we know that students need and deserve a more normal return to the classroom. No student will be left behind. And it's why we're providing students with more tutoring, literacy, and special education supports in the upcoming school year. In February of this year, we announced a historic $175 million investment to enhance tutoring supports, the largest tutoring program of its kind in this country with a real focus on reading, writing, and math. From April to June, on average, 49,000 students every week is participating in these programs, often with small groups averaging less than 5 kids. This expanded access to tutoring will continue to be available right throughout this year. And to further improve student literacy, we announced a $25 million investment this year alone in evidence-based reading intervention supports for our youngest kids to make sure they've got those reading skills in those early years. We've also increased our special education grant. These are for kids with exceptionalities in our schools. We want them to succeed. We know it's been most acutely difficult on them, and it's exactly why our Premier and our government announced an increase, $93 million more, part of a $3.25 billion overall investment, again, the largest investment ever provided in special education needs to help those very kids get ahead. Additionally, we have overhauled Ontario's curriculum, modernizing it to focus on the labor market needs for the first time. This is really critical when it comes to the future prosperity of the province and the ability of young people to graduate and actually get a job related to their skills. And so we've mandated, under our government and Premier's leadership, financial literacy, coding, entrepreneurship, and leadership development right throughout our STEM curriculum, including the grade 1 to 8 math curriculum, grades 8 and 9 math and science curriculum, and the new grade 10 careers course unveiled just a few years ago. All of this is intended to equip students with valuable learning opportunities with an emphasis on cementing the life and the job skills right throughout the curriculum. These courses we know will help the next generation of Ontario leaders get the education that brings career pathways to life, and particularly for the skilled trades, where high demand, high impact fields are available right as we speak in this province. Now, we also recognize the critical importance of state-of-the-art schools and classrooms that support healthy and safe learning, which includes having high-quality educators at the front of the classroom. We know how critical it is. And so for the coming school year, we're delivering record investment to ensure our children get in class on time, stay in school, and flourish in the classroom with a $26.6 billion investment. This is the highest investment in public education ever in the history of Ontario. And it underscores our firm commitment to improving education and the quality of learning for your kids. And that's why we announced a $300 million investment to hire up to 3,000 more frontline staff, including teachers, EAs, early childhood educators, and other educational workers, so that they could be in the schools and the classrooms helping those kids, especially those most in need. We've also committed over $14 billion to build, over the next 10 years, modern schools like Viola Desmond, amazing facilities, internet connected, fully accessible, technology that are technologically connected as well. And we really do believe an emphasis on STEM learning and science laboratories built within our schools make a difference to make learning exciting for children. So we're going to continue to build these schools and childcare centers for students in Ontario. And we are committed to securing a fair deal for teachers and education workers while ensuring that our kids get back in class on time, full time for the school year, which we know is so consequential with the full school learning experience from clubs to sports. All of this matters, and we insist upon that being the reality for children in September and beyond. Finally, we know that access to mental health supports where students need it is critical to their success. And so for the coming school year, our government announced an additional $10 million net increase in mental health, now adding to a total of $90 million, a 420% net increase from 2017-18 when our government first came to office. A significant lift in mental health supports for kids. It recognizes the needs, and it also puts the investments and staffing in place to get them the services they need wherever they need it, including within our school system. In fact, this summer, we're working with the Ministry of Health and the Associate Minister of Mental Health and Addictions to engage with the stakeholder and the broader community to understand how we can better strengthen student mental health, including more learning opportunities for our kids and for our staff. We know the pandemic has highlighted that having a robust and resilient publicly funded school system is critical to responding to challenges. And thanks to our investments, school boards and partners, we are seeing graduation rates rising. In 2020-21, for example, 89% of students received their high school diploma within 5 years, and 84.2% of students received their high school diploma within 4 years. We will, of course, continue to build on those gains that we've made by ensuring that students graduate the life and the job skills they need to succeed in the labor market and beyond. And so together, through this plan, we're going to continue to build up and invest in Ontario's education system so that we get every student back on track, back in class, and back to normal. Thank you. All right.
We'll go to the floor here for questions. Can you just identify, please, your name and your outlet?
Minister, can you just tell us, are you committed to keeping schools open no matter what in the fall? I mean, if you're talking about rising numbers again, we've heard from the Ontario 19 COVID advisory table saying school lockdowns are no good for the students. Are you promising to keep the schools open no matter what this year?
We are committed to keeping kids in school. The first pillar of Ontario's plan to catch up is anchored in the belief that children must be in schools. It is so consequential to their mental and physical health. I met with the Children's Health Coalition, which represents all pediatric hospitals, including sick kids, and their message was clear. We've got to do everything possible to keep these kids in school, which is exactly what our intention is, starting on time with the full student experience. It's not just that they've got to be in class for the academic side of it. It's the other elements of learning that I think is really important. The clubs and the sports, the experiential learning, the arts, the music, all these things really matter to a child. And I think all those elements have to be restored in September. So we will do whatever it takes to ensure we keep these kids in school and we get them back on time. In fact, we've already announced a commitment to continue rapid testing for the school year, continue to provide free PP. We've massively improved ventilation. There's 100,000 HEPA units within schools in this province as we speak. There are more in this one province than there are in all provinces combined, according to publicly available information. So we've really made an investment to reduce risk. We have every confidence these kids will get back on time with a full student experience. That's really what's critical. It's what really this message today is about. It's the imperative of the return to class for the mental and the physical health of a child.
So this is a promise. You're not going to shut down the schools again, because I know we've heard in the past that we don't want to shut down the schools, and yet it's happened. So is this like your commitment? This is your promise? Schools are not going to be shut down this year?
Our commitment is to keep kids in school. That is the clear recommendation of the Chief Medical Officer of Health. We fully agree with it. We're announcing a plan to catch up today that is premised on keeping kids in school every single day without disruption to their lives, be it from the negotiations or otherwise. We need these kids to be in school. We know it's important for their mental and physical health, and today we're announcing a broad plan that really brings together a variety of elements of our ministry, from the physical health to the mental health to the curriculum to the life and job skills, and with the return to normal, where all those student experiences are restored. We think together this plan will help these kids get back on track, and we have a lot of confidence that we've done so much to invest to reduce risk, particularly from a ventilation standard, where we really lead in this country, that our kids could get back in September and stay in school. It's important.
That's Chris Rishowie from the Toronto Star. How can you say with any certainty that there will be extracurricular activities? I mean, they do remain voluntary for teachers to participate in, do they not?
Well, we know that extracurriculars, clubs, sports, all of this is consequential to the life of a child. I mean, learning doesn't just take place in the classroom from an academic perspective. Social and emotional learning happens often outside the classroom, but still within our school settings. And I believe after 2 years of great difficulty, the right thing to do is to ensure a child returns to normal and to the full student experience, which includes the clubs and the extracurriculars. And so we are signaling our clear intent to have those services, those experiences restored, and to support children. And we know that educators care deeply about their kids. They will do the right thing and ensure that those experiences are put back for kids. I mean, look, we went through 2 years of great disruption. Basic things like a graduation, a prom, it made a difference. We've all seen in our own families kids' faces light up with happiness just to see their friends. We just saw kids today who didn't want to leave school because they loved being with their friends. And so we have to insist as a government that all of those elements are restored. We know it is foundational to their success. And we think after 2 years of incredible challenge, the right thing to do for all of us is to rise to the challenge and put our kids first. And I have every confidence that our staff will work with us to do that.
Do you expect that you'll have deals before school starts, and will extracurriculars be a part of it?
Well, certainly we want to land good deals for students in this province. We've already commenced negotiating with all unions. We are very grateful to those unions who've made themselves available through the summer. That is not the case for all unions, Chris, but for some of them they have. And we're working with them in good faith, literally week after week, and sitting down to hammer out a deal that is good for kids, that keeps them in school, that restores the student experience, and that puts them first in our decision makers, be it as unions, as school board trustees, or as the government. There's one commitment we all have to make. It's to these kids to get back to normal schools. And so we have a great deal of confidence we can do that. And we look forward to landing deals as soon as humanly possible with every willing partner to provide the stability these kids deserve.
Hey, good morning, Minister.
Morning.
It sounds like you're drawing a bit of a line in the sand here when it comes to these negotiations, and I'm wondering how far you're willing to go. There's been a lot of chatter in the education sector about the idea of making teachers essential service workers. Is your government planning to implement any kind of legislation now or in the future that would make teachers essential service workers?
Our government's intent, Colin, is to get a deal landed with all teacher and education worker tables. We just did this 2 years ago. We've been through this. We have landed deals with every single union in this province. As difficult as it was, we got to the finish line. And the message to the teacher unions and the education workers is, you have a willing partner in this government to sit down, hammer out a deal that's good for kids, that is fair for the workers, that is good for the children of this province. And we do believe we can get there. And that is our intention. That is our single focus over the coming months. It's to land a voluntary agreement with teacher unions. It takes two to tango, as you know, so we need them to be at that table, and many of them are. And we want all of them to be there through the summer so we can get a deal as soon as possible. We know that's important. And part of our commitment, what we're sort of communicating today, is the imperative that they return on time, they have the full student experience, and that the kids come first in our decisions. We just cannot afford a child, and I think parents have little tolerance for the disruptions after 2 years of difficulty. And the government is standing up for them to ensure that they do get back to school on time and that we get them back in a normal setting. And so we've taken great steps throughout the past months to announce a tutoring expansion, mental health expansion of funding, and a variety of initiatives that are going to help make kids get back in a good experience, a positive environment. And we hope our union partners will work with us to achieve that imperative.
So it sounds like in order to achieve that objective, though, the government does have the legislative power to be able to curtail any strikes or any kind of action that would happen during the school year. Can you unequivocally rule out whether or not your government has any plans to implement some kind of legislation that would make teachers essential service workers, therefore eliminating any potential of strikes?
Our government's intention in these negotiations is to land a voluntary agreement that keeps children in class and gets them back with the full student experience.
And if you don't get that voluntary agreement,
we have
is
demonstrated.
there an involuntary plan here?
We have demonstrated that even through difficult negotiations, our government can get voluntary deals. That is our commitment to provide stability for students. It's why we are at the table, staying at the table until we hammer out a deal that keeps kids in school. There's nothing more important. And for Matt, for Patrice, for the Premier of Ontario, for all of us, we are working so hard to keep kids in school by being at the table. And we will not leave until we get those deals. That is our mission, and I have every confidence we could achieve it.
And I just wanted to ask a question on behalf of the Canadian press. They wanted to know about rapid testing programs in schools. Will those programs continue in the upcoming school year?
Yeah, the Ministry of Health announced a week or two ago the continuation of free rapid tests for students and staff whenever symptoms arise. That'll continue for this year. We think it's important just to build confidence in risk. In addition to the eligible for that. So we could all take steps individually, and certainly the government is, to reduce the risk that we get these kids back to class on time with the full student experience. That is what matters, and that is what our plan is all about today.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. All right.